I can hear you, Mick. I can hear you.
Mick. I can.
Right, we're carrying on, yes?
I can hear you.
Right, the strawberry bed. A few people have asked me about my setup and structure because it doesn't collapse. Basically, I've got 8-foot canes on the top, straight canes, and they're tied with black tape to the hoops once I've got them separated. There's also a cane in each end. Obviously that goes down to about a foot inside the soil. That stops this wobbling that road, and these stop it wobbling that road. Because that's the photo they sent to me and said, how come yours is upright and whatever. So they now know. Just bung a cane in either end, and then your tops. Right, rock dust. Who's that bugger there? Recognise him. This is reaming. Remember we had that talk from Jennifer from reaming rock dust. Was it you, Nigel, mentioned using it
doing as a tea bag,
as a foliar feed? Right, if you remember last week we tried it and there was still too many lumps.
Yes, that's it.
So I've got me wash this down again. And luckily, that's a nice little powder form. That's the smallest I can get him. Now Paul at work made me these 2 bags, i.e. to use. I'm going to use one for making compost tea and the other one as a tea bag for me rock dust. Obviously you got to get summit with the smaller the hole the better, and that's just holding the bag up to the sunlight just to show you that they are very small holes. So 30 mil, I filled him up, and this is to a bucket of water. So I put him in the bag and just bunged him over. Obviously it ain't going to do nothing until you bung him up and down a few times. Can everybody hear me all right now? I think it's because everybody's muted. Good. And
still robot a bit.
Hung him over the side. Now this stuff, to the capillary action, that was after a day it was soaking and it was coming out, so it's good for that. But I started using this as a foliar feed, as you can see there. Obviously when the sun goes off it, and I did everything outside, which is my slots and whatever, but I'm trialing that as well. So you've got to get a smaller bag as you can get, because it won't, you don't need to block up the sprayer. Right, raised beds, top of the garden. This one was me Blanche League bed and me intermediate. Taking the cover off, and I've got, if this works, a bit of video. Right, top of the garden, this is me Blanche League and intermediate Blanche bed. I have neglected this a bit in the sense that I like to keep it nice and moist. The surface is caking up, that'll soon come out, but I'm only going to go down there 4 or 5 inches. And when it strung together, look at that beautiful stuff. But normally I like to keep all my raised beds, all of them, there's nothing in. I do a moisture check, same to my compost bins, and that bed I want to do as well from there. But this lot, I've just filled this one up with tap water, tap water, sorry, yeah. You'll run out of rainwater. I usually put 2 cupfuls of J fluid to clear all the crap out and shit this in tap water. But now I'm just going to leave the lid off for 24 hours. All the crap will disperse that way. And I'm filling that one up as well. With these filled, I'll give this a good soaking. Obviously on spray. You get a lot of good soaking, then put the cover back on. This will probably have seaweed meal, not gushing, before I bung out. Just put those. But as you can see over the years, it's a good brew. This has had Muck end of last year, plus my compost, my garden compost. So there's a good brew in it. Beautiful stuff, as with all my raised beds. any lumps in, if there ain't many. Or any pebbles, nibbles, whatever. Clear them off. Okay, troops, that's it. That's the up and under.
Right, that worked. Right, filling up with tap water then, as I've got no choice. This was both of me tubs, top of the garden. Once I'm on that, I'll give the beds a good soaking. And not when you think it's wet on the top and that's it. No, it's you know, I was there at least 20 minutes doing this bed. Put the cover back on, as I mentioned before, exactly the same as my compost heap. Keep them moist and put your lid back on. Stop the evaporation. Then the bacteria and fungi will get to work.
Sounds gonna get me.
This internet connection just come up here because I've bloody been gobbing off.
You're freezing and breaking up.
I know, but there's sod all I can do. We carry on or I scrub around it. So I'm going to carry on because I'm here on the road. While I was at it, my shallots had a good watering. That was the exhibition shallots I'm doing now, prickling before that. Don't forget the straw which I've mulched, that will keep the moisture in. This middle bed, I should be doing that next week, hopefully. Right, we've been overnight, and all the rubbish on the top I will now get out. Got out of that one, and I'll bung the lid back on. Cleaned him and put the lid back on that one. Now we're ready to go. Somebody mentioned earlier on about growing parsnips. I was doing them in tubes, down piping, 4-inch piping. I said if you do them in that, you're going to get the parsnip stuck, you ain't going to get them out. Well, let's just split the pipe all the way down and then tape it, grow them in that. So I mentioned these florist buckets to them. This is the last lot I had from our local florist. I think these are the deepest ones they do, but they return or bin them. Just go and tell him you're a gardener and you want a couple of these. And I've told him to get a couple of them, take the bottom out, and put them on his raised bed or ground what he was got. Good cleaner out underneath, so he's got good drainage down there as well. And just grow 4 parsnips in there. He wants to grow these for his local show later on in the year. But he's only got to get about 3 buckets, put 4 in each, and he'll get 3 decent snips that road. Right, first inputter tonight, this is Norman Weston with his magnolia. This was early on in the week, so I bet that's twice as good now. But a good sign of spring when you see the blossom. Right, these are my ground. Potted on, was it last week, into the big cups. Still not ready to be potted on yet. This is Caroline's raised beds. I mentioned it last week. I said I'd sort of raise beds out for her. So I took a load of goat muck down. I then went and got some rabbit muck back on the plot. I took that down as well and get it a good soaking. We'll sort her out for plants later on when I know all the frost has gone. Right, I went down to Angie's, Colin's missus, and has got a skip on the front and is throwing loads of crap out. And this is one thing he was throwing out. This was round the back of the garden. There was a couple of bulbs in or whatever. So we emptied it, took all the soil out, and I managed to get it in the back of the van. Luckily, it just fit. And I've cleaned it out, and I'm going to use this off the back of the garden. But it's a Boston little thing. And she also threw out this 5-storey wormery. Well, 6-storey if you count the basement as well. So Gavin, if you're watching, down Wales, if you want that, it's yours, mate. So I cleaned them all out. It was a nice day. And then went and loaded up with a load of stuff. Ready to fill me trough. Right, trellis top of the garden. If you can see all the old stuff here, obviously the stuff that's died off from last year, I've now got to remove all that so I know where I'm starting from. So the dead stuff, which is obviously from this end, but as you can see there, the further we get there, it starts going green again. So that's where I'll chop him off there. Same with that one, he's dead right on the end. So I'll take him off there. But I changed my mind and took him back right to the green leaf anyway. That looks better. Now I've got rid of all the crap. My wires are still up there, so I can start training again. Bougainvillea, got him out because it was a nice sunny windless day, and I'll get him a nice feed. What did he have? Rock dust. There we are, getting him a good dollop of that. So did quite a few of the plants. Them was delphiniums, and I also gave him a haircut. I pruned the chap while he was outside. Tulips and daffs coming up now. On the top, just under the trellis, give me a bit of colour. Right, these are now, I got rid of all the old rubbish. These will be trained on the 2 wires I've got, which they are there. Just help them out, tell them which way to go, keep them off the floor. And then in between this lot, there was one hanging over the top, so I unravelled him, and he come away about 4 foot, which is even better. So now I'm going to put him, that one on the bottom wire I'm going to put on the top, and this long one I'm going to put on the bottom wire. So that works as well, that's giving me extra. So they're going to be legging it along there now. That's better. Right, I found some photos. These are BBC Gardeners Wildlife Weekend. This was the first Midland branch stand run by Colin, Alf and myself on behalf of the National Veg Society. We had 2 helpers from the Northern branch for the day as well. I gave a talk daily on behalf of the National Veg Society. 50-minute talk with a 10-minute changeover. All my talks were full, i.e. there was no gaps with the audience. That's Matt Biggs. Those who have had my book, I've got him in there. He was a great bloke. He was my compere, and I was talking every day there. But he was a brilliant bloke. Loved him. As I mentioned, he had a mention in my book, along with my piddle. Because I did too well, I got thrown out into the floral marquee, which is this one. Good thing about that, there's more colour in it. But I love these. Alstroemeria, so I took a photo of them as well. Right, the last one here. This is Colin and Alf on our stand next year. They're in the floral marquee, obviously. If you see bottom left, besides educating the public and dishing out all the NVS flogging their material, I was also selling my liquid fish, mycorrhizal fungi and charge. I had a moan from another Midland Branch Committee member for doing so. The small print. We all commuted daily without any payment whatsoever. The produce I sold paid for our teas and coffees. Did it shut them up? No. Last one, this is the Edible Garden Show. If I remember when Jennifer was here, she mentioned we both did a display together. This was getting school kids involved. And this was Caslon Primary School. They come down for the day, but they loved it. Right, our second inputter tonight, Claire and Andy. Claire, are you ready? Or is Andy taking over? You'll have to unmute yourselves. Claire, am you there? Yes.
over here.
Evening, Clay.
This
Andy.
is us back last.
Hello guys, how are you?
Hi guys, how's everybody? Right, so this was us last Friday, I think it was, Thursday or Friday. We bought our polytunnel in the first lockdown, but because it was sort of May, June time when we decided to buy it, we didn't do anything with it. So we've decided this time we're going to put it up. So this was the poles, and we've got an enclosed veg plot, and we'd sort of decided where we were going to do it. We've got a little bit of shelter from a barn that comes behind us. So that's that picture of the poles.
So what you can see there is we followed the instructions for a change, and we decided to put the so you can see there the 3 beds that we had last year in the plot, and we decided to put the polytunnel over that, knowing I'd watched a few videos on YouTube and that sort of stuff, because I knew I would have to dig the bottom of the polytunnel in. So rather than the soil that we've got here in France is pretty full of tiles, loads and loads of Charente stone and that sort of stuff. But having worked these 3 beds for the last sort of 2-3 years, I knew I'd dug pretty much of the stone out of there. So luckily it fitted over those sort of 3 beds there, and it would make digging in the cover at the end of it far easier than starting from scratch. So that's the reasoning why we kind of put it there. So
Real.
Yep.
Next slide.
It is on. We got a bit to do.
And that's it. Just going up with our. Oh, that's all right. That's just it getting higher and higher once we'd sort of pick the spot going, and our helpful boxers keeping a close eye. I'm not really sure why that one's in there, but that's.
You were cutting there.
Yeah, that's me. So what we decided to do was, before we put the cover on, we decided to make the inside of it first. Now, don't ask me whether that's right or whether that's wrong. We just thought that would be the best way to do it. We'd looked at the weather conditions for the next sort of 2 or 3 days and thought it would be the best way to do it, which may be sort of descriptive in the next picture sort of coming up. So we put a cover down on it as well, just to suppress any weeds and all that sort of stuff as we did it. Again, this is the first time we've done it, guys. We just sort of learning as we go. Now, what you can see there are actually, that's the pathway that we decided that we were going to use. And what they are, we bought those for €1 each. They're actually camembert cheese moulds. But we decided to use them as a pathway, which you'll see in the future pictures that we covered with gravel and that sort of stuff. But we thought we'd give a good, you can buy sort of similar things in the UK and that sort of thing for pathways to add a bit of stability to pathways and that sort of stuff. But we picked them up super cheap out here and thought they'd be good to do it. There you can see the raised beds. Again, as I said before, building it in between. So you've got the right hand side, you've got 3 metre by 1 metre beds. The left hand side, you've got 3 metre by 75. Just using, there was a cheap deal on decking, so I've decided to use pre-treated decking in there as well. Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, I don't know. It just said the right thing to do, and that kind of formed the layout of the inside of it. And just the middle bit on the left-hand side, that's the remains of last year's, from the middle of Lidl sort of greenhouse that got blown to bits during the winter. So we sort of salvaged the shelving from that, and that's become sort of Claire's shelving in there for doing all the seeds and that sort of stuff in there. Moving on, I boxed off the ends, put some, they call it calcaire out here in France. It's cheap as chips, gravel. Put gravel all the way down it and that sort of stuff. and then I measured a pallet and boxed everything off with a few breeze blocks sort of thing, well away from the plastic, so it doesn't catch in the roof, but it's sort of taking the sort of shape of what it's sort of going to look like. Again, that's just a similar sort of view.
That's better.
This is our. So this is our own. Now we inherited this, a massive pile in the corner. So the house that we bought out here, our neighbour had been cutting the grass for years and throwing bits of stuff on there, and there's a massive pile in the corner. And what I decided to do, again being a Yorkshireman, to save a bit of money, I thought, well, we might as well use our own stuff, what we've got. And I've got a little tiller. I can't think of the name of it. It's just a little tiller that I just whacked it on top of it to chop everything up, and it reduced a pile that was probably about 3 or 4 foot high, maybe down to 2 foot high, and we managed to fill all 4 beds with all our own stuff. Now we've got chickens, we've got ducks, so that you can see some of the longer leftover stuff in there. I put grass clippings on there from the grass when I'm cutting that. So all right, it's not perfect by any means, and we've mixed in some bought compost, some general compost, and then we've thrown some generic sort of vegetable feed on top of there as well, just to give us a bit of a kickstart, really. But I suppose the moral of the story is I inherited this mound of stuff, and it ended up filling as well. Our friend's a carpenter, so we put quite a lot of oak shavings down in there as well, with some cardboard and stuff, and punctured all the holes in it as well, into the mat as well, so we can let the worms do the stuff as well. So the majority of this, the weed suppressant, was to stop weeds coming up sort of in behind the boards and all that. And I know, you know, cardboard on top of that, it may or may not be right, but we did puncture holes through it, thinking that the worms would do their stuff. And the amount of worms that were actually in the barrow and stuff was phenomenal. Again, being a Yorkshireman, we use the sawdust, which just to try and make the compost go a little bit further, because they're 15 centimetre boards. So there's quite a lot, you know, to buy that compost, you know, kind of would be quite a lot. So, but, you know, we managed to fill most of them kind of all the way up. So, yeah, good. That's my youngest boxer helping, or not.
There's probably another one of him.
Just a little recycled, just to make Claire a little table in there as well, just using a too big a fence post that I bought, just to create a little potting type bench type thing. You guys are probably all over this. Claire liked it. I got the points in for that one, so that's good.
You got that next one, Andy?
Shape.
Yeah.
The bench is in there. Yeah, that's you can see the 2 beds at the back full, the front 2 are full, the path's done, the table's in and that, and there's Bewley helping, as she usually does as well. So we're kind of not far off taking a plunge to get the cover on it at this stage. And there it is. That's the final thing. So it's 8 meters by 3 meters, 8 meters long, 3 meters wide by 2 meters high, and that's it. Without it dug in, we then, as I said earlier, because we decided where we were going to put it over 2 pre-existing beds, it made digging the sides in. So we went down a full spade, took a full spade out, buried the outside of it, then put that earth back in again, turned it over. And then we scattered some kind of pollinator type seeds over it. Fingers, they may or may not grow, but you know, it kind of won't do any harm, and scattered some seeds down the side of it. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. I'm not sure what other pictures you've got after that, maybe some more finished ones inside with the beds, but I mean, it's kind of moved on a bit since then. But so that's it dug in. I suppose you can see, well, See where. So there's no danger that we're going to sort of blow away as such. I'm a little bit nervous as a first-time polytunnel owner. It does seem to flap about a bit, but at the moment it seems to be all right. So, which is the reason why we've only put it up now and got through the worst of the winter and the wind and the storms and all that sort of stuff. Which is the reason we've had it for probably 8 months, before we put it up. But seems to be all right. Christ, you sent all sorts of pictures here. Gee whiz. I hope there's none of me on there. So.
This is us now. So we're now back in lockdown. We went into lockdown from 7 o'clock last night. So we're in lockdown now for another month. So we've got plenty of time to be getting into the garden and doing bits and bobs. But it's a learning curve, isn't it? We're very new to all this.
Yeah,
so
of course it is.
It's a learning curve for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Claire?
Yep.
Is your cover polythene or is it mesh? It looked like it was mesh on the last.
No, so it's polythene with like a green mesh going through it, if that makes sense. So to make up so it's like a green sort of polyurethane mesh going through it and then rolled over the top of it.
So it lets the air through. It's breathable, is it?
Yes. So excuse me, sorry. So down either side of so it's got a door at either end of it, and then down either side, it's got 4 windows that you can roll up and they're mesh. Yes. You are. Right. In terms of the actual structure of it, it's not because over here you see some of the old boys out here that have just got like where they've got these massive rolls of plastic from over an old tent frame and tied up with string and all that have probably been there for years. And some of the old boys, you know what, and hats off to them, they're absolute genius. I mean, we speak to our neighbour most times and he'll be out, like there's been no rain for ages, or there's rain due tomorrow, but he'll be out watering his garden. And we're like, well, why is Odile watering his garden? Because Odile knows better than the weather forecaster, and guaranteed there'll be no rain the next day. He just seems to be a bit of a Jedi at all this sort of stuff. Yeah. So we kind of follow him with what he does, but fingers crossed it'll give us. We kind of struggled last year with our chilies and peppers and aubergines and that sort of stuff, because it was either too hot or too cold. So fingers crossed this year it'll give us that all year round sort of availability to grow stuff and to overwinter. We've got like 50 odd hostas as well, which we just keep under a thing as well, and we just brought all them out in the last couple of days, and they've just literally since bringing them out so that was Friday, we're now Sunday. Some of them and I'm not lying, some of them have grown maybe 6 to 8 inches. It's absolutely incredible. The weather is just phenomenal at the moment. So fingers crossed it's not brilliant. It's not industrial. We may have done things right. We may have done things wrong. But I think it'll give us a bit of a head start into this year's sort of growing season, really. So that's kind of it.
You'll learn as you go, obviously, and mistakes you'll correct next time, and that's what we do.
That's right. And that's what it's all about. And also, joining this every Sunday, I've learned lots of things. My little notebook is about what to do with compost and things like, and just learning from other people as well. It's so
Claire is Colin, is it Andrew as well, is it?
Andy,
yeah. It's Nigel from Wolverhampton in West Midlands. Those polytunnels you got, usually they get about 2 or 3 years out before the stitching goes.
Yeah.
There's a chap on here, I don't know if he's still on here, Mark Jackson. If you meet Mark.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually sat in mine now.
I say, can you tell him the experience?
I am. My cover lasted 7 months.
Oh,
but I complained, and they actually sent me a brand new one, which cost £100, and they sent it me free, and I've still got it now. However, what I did do at the time, I did go to Northern Tunnels and actually purchased the appropriate plastic covering just in case, and that is still sat at home. This has now lasted over nearly 2 years now.
Yeah.
So what happens is the little squares, they deteriorate, and you'll get them everywhere. They last about 2 years on average, but as long as your frame's up and it's sturdy, they're excellent. You can just get rid of the old green plastic and get a proper, the proper UV treated plastics, which a lot of these people use, and just stretch it over, and that's the difference. That's why this flaps around. They're not made to be stretched. If you stretch it, it won't work as well. The ones that you see that a lot of people have, especially the allotments over in England or Britain, whatever, that's the proper covers, which are stretched. These don't stretch. So just keep an eye on it, really. But they're great. They work. They're absolutely fine. Unless you've got £1,000 in your bank account, they're absolutely superb.
So I'm not going to lie to you. This was €250, right? And I've said a Yorkshireman through and through, right? I thought there's no danger I'm paying over the odds for a first season. Let's just see what we can do. And at the end of the day, if it all goes wrong and the cover blows to bits, that sort of stuff, we've still got some really nice raised beds. So the frame, we actually did things properly. We usually, we're both ex-military. We both sort of like dive into stuff, but this we kind of thought, no, we need to do this properly. So the frame's up properly. It's dug in properly. It's not going to blow away, but as you probably know, Mark, when the wind batters it backwards and forwards, things rub together and all that sort of stuff. And I'm already going round looking at where the tie points into the frame and all that sort of stuff, and slackening things off and tightening things up again, because we are so flat here, we do get a little bit of wind, and out of all the sort of elements, the wind is the one here that sort of bothers me. Not so much my polytunnel, but sort of everything else. And I think you're probably right. If we get this season out of it, next season out of it, the company that I bought it from, they'll sell, unless it absolutely goes Pete Tong over this summer, and I go back to them and say, look, everything's ripped on it, blah blah blah. But I'll quite happily go back to him, buy another 8x3 cover, and just kind of do it again. But I don't know. Again, first year, let's kind of see what happens. If I'm hearing, if I'm hearing June saying it's all gone a bit Pete Tong, and it's blown off, and it's taken that big pallet table with it and everything, something out the Wizard of Oz, then I've done something wrong. But I'm fingers crossed it'll give us a little bit more, a bit of an extension to our sort of growing seasons and all that sort of stuff. So, well, no, we'll see. But no, very much appreciate that advice. I'm pleased if you are the polytunnel king that we're both on the same wavelength. That's good. Thank you.
It looks a nice, neat job that you've done as well.
It's called military precision.
So I worked in outer space for 41 years, so I know what that is.
Thanks. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Cheers, Claire, Andy. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good on you. Right, we're nearly on the worm wheel. Right, I thought about a new prize. Right, Epsom salts. If you remember, I mentioned the NPK last week about the fertilisers, whatever. Plus your normal fertilisers, you've also got trace elements, which ain't one. This is one of your trace elements. Obviously, it's magnesium sulfate. It's tomatoes love, well, everything loves it. As it says there, foliar feed, you can use it also as a drench feed. You can put a fistful around every tomato plant monthly. I basically use them as a foliar feed. As it says there, 1 teaspoon per litre. You can get this from the chemist. There's also, you'll have Epsom salts and a bag of charge, which is your beetle dung. You already mentioned as well, remember last week I mentioned all the manures that I like using, because every manure has got something which other manures haven't. And this is also a manure. This is why I like using this. When you get this, you can either sprinkle that as a top dressing with finger and thumb on any plants that you got growing, indoor or out, and then water it in. Or you can use a full bag in half a bag of multi-purpose compost and just mix that up if you're potting something on. But that'll be in the prize as well. Right, that's my. Let's see if I can get on the proper wheel.
Ooh!
Yes.
You see the wheel?
Yeah.
Not poor Westwood again.
Come on! Bring it on! Bring it on!
This better work. Can you see it?
I can see it spinning. Oh,
Good,
come on.
good.
Come on, come on. Is it going?
Andy, right.
Oh, they win.
No.
Right, second one.
This is me.
Better not be.
Be funny if it was.
Nigel, you've trod in it.
Told you. Look here.
Well done, Nigel, man.
Thanks, Paul. We'll look rubbed off.
Come on, give it 5. Give me 5.
Mick.
Aye?
Am you listening, Mick?
Yeah.
I've got plenty of charge in that, so run it again for somebody else.
Let's get him back up again.
Oh, come around, come around.
Claire, you can use it in your new tunnel.
Well done, Claire.
Well done, Claire.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, where am we? This is Liz's input. This is a plum tree. This was just showing us the blossom. This was earlier on during the week. I should say that is now packed with even more blossom. Steve mentioned last week where I get my fencing from for the dog, because he was he weren't eating all the plants, but I was growing everything which is bloody poisonous to dogs, which is amaryllis, azaleas, bluebells, cyclamen, daffodil, daylily, delphinium, foxglove, hyacinth, hydrangea, ivy, lupin, sweet pea, tulip, wisteria, and yew. It's mainly the bulbs on the corms that are poisonous, but knowing my luck, he'd eat a leaf and he'd be sick of something. But I sent in the link to it. I thought, well, just in case anybody else is interested as well. That's the cheapest one I could find. Bougainvillea, these are the small plants which I've got in the warm end of the greenhouse. As you can see, the bottom half of that one is just coming to life, where these are dead as a ferret on top. But I'm still going to give him another couple of weeks before I chop them off, and this one. So I've started giving them a little bit of water, but there's a little, looks as though I've got a nice shoot on there, and there's another one there. So with a bit of luck, it should come up. Right, a letter from one of my talks I did last week, and he's going to look after the worms. Good on that. So he's learned so much. Getting the papers in the morning, the hound's waiting for me. Butter wouldn't melt. Right, this is me hot box, trying this. I've bung me little bit of sulphur in, which is in there, and that's going on again tonight. And I've googled it, and that's about one of the cheapest you can get on eBay. At 25 quid. Obviously you got to buy your own sulphur as well. Right, nice sunny day, then everything's open. Doors wedged open. Sorry? What was that?
That ain't the price for the hot box.
What, that? That one?
If you look, the hot box all fume there, $79.95.
Oh,
I don't know what that $24.95 means. I think that's just for the sulphur.
It is in it, it's all right.
Yeah.
which is a rip-off.
Yeah.
You don't pay that much for sulphur.
Good man.
You go to Alexa.
Well spotted.
You go where, Colin? Colin, where do you go?
Ask him at the end. Ask him at the end, troops. Right, sweet corn. These are a new one that was bought out by Select Seeds this year. So anything new, I'm going to give him a go. And these chaps are ready to be pricked out. There's a cup side off Mark earlier on. Yeah, that tells me he's going. So I'm going the next cup size up, which is the red one. Right, exactly the same with, well, most things. Any brassicas I do, tomatoes, cucumbers, anything, I plant them deeper, so I'm burying the stem. I'm doing exactly the same with this one. So there's my pot in the middle, which is these. So you can see there's about 3/4 of an inch there. It's going to be in. So I get my pot out, bung him in, and then earth him up. I've earthed him up to the first leaf, exactly the same as everything else when I pot them on. Meaning I'm going to get extra roots out of that stem which I've just buried. Can you show us? Yes. Here's what I did earlier. Right, there's a leaf axle. I think I put this on about 3 weeks ago. Somebody else has asked for it. The leaf has come off there and you get extra roots coming out. Once they do earth up, there's the next leaf where it's come off. Roots will come out of there. That's what they'll look like. If you don't earth up, within 3 days they will die off. But if you do earth up, he has had 2 extra sets of roots in, meaning you don't need to cane them. They are that well established in the ground, they are solid, meaning they won't blow over. And if you keep feeding them, don't forget people to forget to, when they've put something out and they're doing well, you've got to feed them. Just treat them like humans. I want 3 meals a day. You ain't got to give plants 3 meals a day. But if you don't look the colour it's supposed to be, i.e. a nice, shiny, dark green, then he's asking for a feed. Look after them and they'll pick up. Sweet corn, when you get a nice, dark, black beard, that tells you when he's ready. Pick him. And if you look after him properly, you will get the corn yellow all the way through, not with bits missing on the end. So look after the chaps. Runner beans, I bunged a few out. Well, one out. This is just potting another one up. This is for me mate. Heavy pepper seed. This is from Germany. Might be, I can't remember. But I had some seed off him. We did a swap a couple of years ago. So 2 more cups, 4 seeds in each. Some more spinach I'm doing in that one, and then the peppers in this one. Top dressing as normal with vermiculite, then give me good water in the propagator. The lid is now kept off the propagator, so I've still got the warmth on the bottom. Some more runner beans, and we're going out as well for other people. 2 of my spuds, not Claire, Caroline. Caroline's gonna have these spuds later on. Right, looking at the roots on this chap here, if we zoom in, there's my first tater. So he's coming on as he is. And that's my heavy tater. Right, these are going in the next pot size up because they are getting a bit root bound. I've still got to look after him. Once again, he's going deeper than what he normally should do. This is using multi-purpose compost and my own compost as well. Right, this is a back garden. We don't get much sunlight here. In fact, well, don't get much at all. That was originally where I was going to put it. my new raised bed, mobile one. And then I had second thoughts and we moved him up here. So he will get a bit of light on him. Another dry day, so grass needed cutting, so I've cut the grass. Right, these are all me extras which I've bought up from the allotment or the trading sheds just to fill that trough. Because they got holes on the bottom, drainage holes. I had this years ago. I knew it'd come in one sunny day. It was like a coir matting. And that's what I've used. Perfect. Everything's going to soak through that, and it's going to stop the soil or everything else, whatever, going through the holes. So that was ideal for that. If we'd have had to bring it by in June last year, I'd have took that matting down there and lost it. So one good thing. Right, first one that goes in is a wood chip, and I'm pointing to there because I'm going to zoom in on it. This wood chip had been in the bag, I think, 2 weeks. My own mycelia working away. That's the start of your fungi because it's had no disturbance. Moist and warm. That is nature working away. Next one, rabbit muck. So I've got my muck and straw. Spent mushroom compost. There's half a bag of clover gone in. Worm casts. And then a sprinkling of rock dust on the top of that. And my own compost. And then it had a good watering. That was covered because of the hound if he digs anything. So I've covered that up. Right, our first input tonight, Keith Hine. Are you there, Keith?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Good man. Thank you, sir. Take it away.
Right. Okay. This I inherited when I moved on to my allotment a few years ago. This is a Victorian chaff cutter, which I use for chopping up prunings, cabbage stalks, and everything like that. You push the stalks in between those two sort of evil looking cogs, turn the handle, it feeds it through, and the blades really do chop it up quite finely. So it's quite an interesting bit of kit, that.
I have got the video on, Keith, but just in case. You haven't? I have got it on after this, but just in case I didn't work, I'll let you carry on explaining it.
Yeah, not a problem, mate. Yeah, but that I use, save bringing it, that's it. Turn the handle, and the two blades that you can see, I don't know, there and there, the two blades, as it's fed through, chops it up into some very small pieces. So you wouldn't want to get your fingers in the way of that. But
yeah,
it's a useful bit of kit.
Right, I'll try the video, Keith.
Okay, mate.
Agricultural never fails.
Like it. I bet it weighs a ton, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like to try and move it. It came, the people before who had the plot before me were farmers, and they bought it from their farm when they moved out, and they chop up comfrey, nettles, prunings, cabbage stalks. It saves bringing them, kale stalks. Saves bringing it home, putting it through the shredder, and taking it back. So yeah, it's good fun, but you do have to very careful.
Yeah.
Right, these were Dahlia seedlings, the seed that Jeffrey sent us, but all the misses are, the gaps, are where a friendly mouse came in overnight and dug them all out. So he doesn't exist anymore. He disappeared.
Good man.
Yeah, that's a birthday present from my grandchildren that is now screwed to my allotment gate, as I had a lot of problem with badgers. So a little present that my grandkids gave me. That's just a chili pepper that I put in a couple of years ago at Malvern. Apache, yeah, that was in the potted small chili class. That did quite nicely. Got a second for that, very pleased. That Coleus, Lord Falmouth, is in about a 8-inch pot, and it naturally just branches very quickly. And I've also put one in the hanging basket competition, which came second as well. But it really does hug the ground very easily. Makes a really nice plant, that one.
Is that 1 year's growth, Keith?
Sorry?
Is that 1 year's growth?
Yeah, that's 1 year. Now that one, 1 year that is, that's one plant, 1 year. Lord Falmouth, that's called. That's the plant that beat it, and that was called Trusty Rusty. That is nearly 30 inches round, that one. Incredible plant, grown by somebody else. I think he's won the class 3 years running, and I've come second 3 years running. So hopefully hopefully going to try again this year.
Good man.
Oh yeah, that's one of my pot leeks, which is in its final pot. So see what that brings. I use the auto pot self-watering system for those, just seeing what happens. There's some. This is the brassica that I grew last year, and everything with brassicas, they don't see the light of day except for pictures. I grow them all under Enviromesh, and that's Serpentine, Savoy, and can't remember the Ladero, I think the red cabbage. Well, those are, oh, that's just my kale bed, different kales and that I grow. So hopefully we'll get some more this year. The sweet corn, they grew really well last year. Actually, a bit like Mick, I kept earthing them up and didn't put any canes or anything. Put a few gladioli down the right-hand side. But they got swept up by the sweet corn. Oh, these some spring onions and some turnips, just multi-sown, that when they get a bit bigger will be popped out under some cover. So I like to use that sort of multi-sown for things like turnips and spring onions. It just pop them out into the ground and then let them push themselves out. Oh, they're the. I just started putting new collars onto my Lamberis blanched leeks, so they're not looking too bad this year. All right, this is the greenhouse with all the back one. That's my bigger greenhouse, and this little one was the other way round, because the doors now face each other, so I can come out the big one and just pop stuff into the small one. But we sort of see the path that runs through the middle of the little greenhouse. I decided that because where it was, the pathway round it had disappeared, so we decided to slab around the outside, and then I filled in inside. so we can now walk round it and get down the side of the garden. So it's sort of improved that area and tidied it up, and I'll use that one for cucumbers and hopefully some melons this year, the little one. Oh, these are my Red Sun sets, but mate, I took this a few days ago, but with this warm weather, they're certainly moving on. So they're growing quite nicely, and I'm trying these trainers. They're extra deep and this stiff plastic, recycled plastic with a big hole in the bottom, so they just pop out really nicely. So yeah, I'd be interested. I've never grown Red Sun before, so hopefully we'll get some nice onions out of those.
Is that the ones that Charles Dowding is pushing?
Now, I don't know if those ones are from the same place, because I know Charles gets them from Container Wise. Now, I got those about 3 years ago, and they're really quite deep, and I picked those up from an allotment trading shed. But they're very, very similar. I can't believe that there's much different from them, Nigel. That one, there's some brassicas that I pricked out that need to be moved on again, and some tomatoes. As everybody said, greenhouse is chock-a-block at the moment. And I finished that small one, reglazed it all, and it's 3/4 full, moving stuff from the big one to the small one after I've potted it all on. They're never big enough.
No.
Oh right, yeah. This is my allotment where I've got the Keda greenhouse on the right, and I've got one of the green-covered little polytunnels. That one's 4 meters by 2. That's quite useful. But the cover on mine lasted, I got 3 years. There were some little holes. Sort of the plastic between the threads tends to degenerate with the sun and everything. But it's good value, and it does. And the structure, the wooden structure I built, is going to be wrapped with Rocaline windbreak material, and then a shading material put on the roof, and that's my new structure and beds for some chrysanthemums this year. So, but everything we build or put onto our allotment, we have to get written permission from the trustees, or and pay a deposit. Oh yeah, that's just Enviromesh over hoops, where I planted out my shallots in about February, and popped them underneath, and they're tucked away quite happily under there now. And that's looking the other way. I use hoops like Mick uses. I haven't yet put canes along the top. That's a good idea. I'll try that. But the hoops on the end of mine are metal, galvanized metal, and there's a fixing bracket that you sort of push into the ground, and there's a metal tubular spike that comes up, and you drop the metal on, so it's pretty solid. But I think I'll still put canes along, and I've just got hold of some old straw, which I'm going to mold between them to keep them, let them look after themselves. But they seem quite happy under the Enviromesh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hanging pots with strawberries in the tunnel, just coming into flower. Some small little fruits starting to set on some of them. So in the bottom corner, there's the lettuce I planted to. They've all gone now. They disappeared within about 3 days. The mice on the allotment, or voles or whatever, came in and ate the lot. So that's a lot, Mick. That's yours now. I think,
yeah. Lovely, Keith. Thank you, sir. It just shows what a bit of protection does.
All right, mate.
A bit of extra warmth. Yeah, lovely. Any questions for Keith while we got hold of him?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Can you give us a rundown on growing your coleus, either now or on another night? Because the year, how on earth you get that large in a year? I want to know your secrets.
All right, I'll tell you that. I don't grow any from seed. They're all from cuttings, which are on the way now. And as soon as they're about, I can take some more I'll take more pictures. But as soon as they're about 4 or 5 inches high, I take the top out, and that particular variety branches very quickly. It's very short jointed, and I just keep pinching it, and I guarantee that is 1 year's growth.
And how high would that plant be now, today?
Only 4 or 5 inches.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I tried growing from seed, and I don't have that. They're so slow.
No, you won't get the sort of varieties that you see on the bench there from seed. They're all cutting grown.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you sell any cuttings?
I can sort you some out.
I'd love to grow a plant that size. It's yeah.
Right. Well, if we wait till the weather's a bit better, and because I've only just struck some, I'll wait till the weather's a bit better, and we'll talk again, Colin.
I'd appreciate that, Keith. Thank you very much.
Okay. But as long as you promise not to grow better one than mine and push me down to 3rd place in Malvern.
No. I certainly won't be entering Malvern, I don't think. I might enter the local village one if I'm the only entrant.
Yeah. No, you'll do very well with that variety.
All right, mate. I look forward to that. Thank you very much.
All right. Speak soon. Cheers.
Just another quick one from me there. Just on cuttings. If Mick could maybe again, being a Yorkshireman and not wanting things for free and that sort of stuff, we love salvia, and the only cuttings that we've managed to successfully do this season is salvia. Everything else, hydrangea, roses and that sort of stuff, have all failed. So for us semi sort of novices, I wondered if Mick, it might be worth doing a wee bit of a thing on sort of cuttings and how to get the I don't know, we've done salvia, but just nothing else seems to work. So is there a difference between doing salvia, hydrangeas, roses, and other stuff like that? So it might, I'm certainly more than happy to sit and listen to somebody give me advice on how to do that. I'm not sure whether anybody else.
This is what I ask for every week. If anybody's got anything growing, I think Colin did something on is it fuchsias when he started them off, Colin? Like something on there, that was a start off for that.
Oh, fuchsias, another one as well.
But if anybody, is good at taking cuttings and can do a couple of photos or a bit of film or something, then just let us know and we'll put it on. Just educate the troops. That's why we're here.
Yeah, sorry guys, I've been in India for a few weeks, but I'm quite keen. Fuchsias was the other one as well, because my late mum was brilliant at doing fuchsias, but unfortunately my dad doesn't seem to have the same green fingers. So it would be a really good help if we can kind of pull together and just learn how to sort of get the best out of stuff. Really, because
this time of year, a fuchsia cutting will root on its own. Now's the ideal time if you've got any. You've only got to look at them and they'll root. So
it's funny you should say that. We sit on our same little seat every evening and watch the sun and just kind of watch what we've done during the day. And these 2 fuchsia plants that I daren't cut back are just sprouting from all over the place at the moment. They got nipped by the frost, and I thought, oh bugger, I've lost them. But now we're just like springing up from all over the inside of the pot and that sort of stuff. But yeah.
So Colin, if you're the fuchsia guy, we might send you a couple of pictures.
Okay, yeah. So, are your pots outside?
Yeah, so we've got
that must be a hardy variety then. Yeah.
Well,
I've got a tunnel now.
No,
That's right.
Hey, Mick,
Colin,
they're not
are you
allowed in there yet.
volunteering?
I have to ask permission to get in there, so there's no worries about that.
Colin, can you put us a piece together for next week on cuttings, fuchsias cuttings?
Just a short, just a short little, 2 or 3 minutes on it, yeah.
Good man.
Excellent, thank you.
Brilliant.
Colin.
Cheers,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you.
Any more questions for Keith? Cheers, Keith, mate. Good on you.
No problem.
Right, this is Ben's avocado. If you remember, a couple of months ago when he was here, he put this one down and he put it in a jar of water, as you can see, and it went haywire. Now, he went home last weekend, which is why I've had to bloody ring him twice to sort today out. And when he got back home in London, this is what he's looked like. It's good enough to eat or to pot on. But this is why it's good if you've got grandkids or whatever. And that's how easy it is. Just bung him in water. Any road up. Right, this is because we've got the hound now. As you can see the little chap there. Look at his little face. He likes water and all. Obviously, we're taking him daily walks. So we're looking at parks which we've never seen before, local. Getting a bit of fresh air. And nice colours about. Spring. And looking around the place, I saw this chap. Now I saw one of these at Angie's, Colin's missus. They'd got one. Let's go back on that one. Can I zoom in? Yeah. They did tell me the name, or I forgot. Well, it's a Boston flower. When you lift the flower up, it's a corker. Anybody recognise it or know the name on it?
Is it hellebore, Mick?
Looks like hellebore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That rings a bell.
It does. You got a closer shot?
I think there's another one later on. Yeah, I'm going to get excited. Yeah. There's a closer shot of the hound. And I saw this little chap and all. And we started talking together, so I thought, let's take a bit of film on him. I'll try to zoom in on the... What did I zoom in on film? I'm great out there, Robbins. There he is. Colin. Don't get wet in your pants.
What?
There's a close-up. And me hellebore.
I haven't got it. Not coming through.
Isn't it? I can see it.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's a
I've still
hellebore.
got the bird. Oh, there it is.
But to say he's in the wild, I wouldn't know what he's nicked the plant. Especially around by us.
Yeah.
Mick, where is he? Is he over the brook?
Yeah.
I'm going for a walk tomorrow. I'm going to dig it
Colin will
up.
take you out.
I'll dig it up tomorrow.
He'll show you how to take a cutting next week.
No, I'll dig it up and bring it home. Put the back garden. I'll take a pot with me. Nice dog.
But spring, love it. And there's another chap. He's a different colour.
Magno.
Purple. More purple.
Magnolia. Oh, no, where that is now.
Get out of it.
I do.
This ain't Puddingbrook.
I know where it is.
Right, that should. And at the end of the walk, Stevens Park is here. When we get right to the end, before we get to the church, there's some allotments. And walking past the allotments, and the soil here was black. But you can see it there. Right, there's the pathways. But it is proper black soil. So whether there's foundries there years ago, or
That's at the bottom of the hill from the cemetery, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So imagine all that washed out the cemetery into that soil.
That's it. Yeah, I got it. Be good brew then. Right, Caslon Primary School Gardening Club.
No.
Now,
just
did they behave when I took them? We'll have to find out next week. Because that is it, boys and girls.
Brilliant.
Let me get rid of that one. Let me get rid of that one. Try again, sort of. Oh, clear off. So I don't want to press the wrong bloody thing here. Right, people, have you enjoyed it? Hope you have learned something.
Yeah.
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 Thanks, Mick. Another good one. Thank you, Mick. Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Oh,
For
that's
the first time